my sweet Vegians, Evie the Original Master here, and welcome back to another VeggieTales review. So in this video, I'll be reviewing Sumo of the Opera, which was released on August 31st, 2004. So in this episode, we're taking place on the countertop, where Larry is gone to a toy drive, and he's actually talking through Bob on the telephone. So literally, Larry then talks about his experience with the toy drive until he realizes that he doesn't want to be a part of it anymore and he wants to come back to the countertop. So Bob then tells Larry that he shouldn't give up for him participating in the toy drive because that he's helping out with people. And so to take his place, we have Khalil, the caterpillar, playing a puppet character named Luffy, which I thought was pretty stupid, but it was kind of dumb that the fact that we have to have Khalil in this episode, but it was, I guess, a nice change of pace, even though Khalil wasn't a funny character in the Jonah movie, but it is what it is. So our first segment is a silent movie, which is actually a Three Stooges parody played by Mr. Lunt, Jerry Gord, and Larry the Cucumber, taking a piano up these flights of stairs to a nearby building. So the running gag of this premiere, or this segment, is the French piece telling the viewers that the piano must go up. So as Larry, Mr. Lunt, and Jerry Gord are taking this piano up the flight of stairs, Jerry Gord and Mr. Lunt then procrastinates by actually going out getting ice cream, letting Larry do the job all by himself. So after Larry then takes the piano up the flight of stairs, Mr. Nezzer then congratulates him for doing that. So that was basically the first segment of Sumo of the Opera, was freaking a silent film of the characters taking a piano up a flight of stairs. So afterwards, we got the silly song, which is Larry's Homophones, which is like a ELA language arts lesson on homophones, which are basically words that sounds the same but are spelled differently, like blue and blue. Blue is the color, and blue like you blew on a horn or something. That's what homophones are. And then he then starts singing about pronouns and interjections and prepositions. And the silly song alone was actually pretty catchy. I actually liked the silly song. So then after the silly song, Larry then comes back on the telephone to tell him that he's actually using quarters for a payphone and he's down to only 2 more quarters. So while Bob is going out to find another story, Luffy then tells the story about St. Patrick. So there's a St. Patrick's Day segment, which is done using like this 2D animation style, and I thought the segment was pretty okay. There's actually an Easter egg where it showed all of these human characters, and each of the human characters are actually members of Big Idea. And 2 of the members that I know by the top of my head is Mike Naraki and Tim Hodge. Tim Hodge is the voice of Khalil the Caterpillar. He's also some of the directors of VeggieTales episodes, while Mike Naraki, who we already know, is the voice of Larry, Jerry Gord. He also writes and directs some VeggieTales episodes. So after the St. Patrick's Day segment, then Bob the Tomato comes up to finally gives out a story of Sumo of the Opera. So in Sumo of the Opera, this is actually a segment about perseverance, where Larry the Cucumber plays as the Italian Scallion, who is out trying to fight off Apollo, who is this giant gourd squash character, who is actually the squash from the Larry's High Soul Cat silly song. And the whole fight is being hosted by Jerry Gord. So, no, not Jerry Gord, Jimmy Gord. I'm sorry, Jimmy Gord. So Jimmy Gord is actually announcing the fight, while the Italian Scallion is being trained by Paul Great, and he's actually showing perseverance so he can earn money to buy Junior Asparagus a new bike. So Junior Asparagus' bike turned out to be beat up and not working properly. So the Italian Scallion is actually going to try to defeat Apollo so he can get his bike fixed. And there's also like a tiger bike that was shown in this episode. And there's actually a little gag throughout this whole episode where these Japanese sumo singers come on stage singing about sumos of Japan and all that stuff. So to speed things up, the Italian Scallion won the fight against Apollo by showing perseverance. They were going like through a training montage segment where we got the Italian Scallion eating sushi, going up an escalator and whatnot, kind of like Rocky. It's actually a Rocky parody of the Rocky boxing films, basically. So the episode ends with the Italian Scallion meeting up with Junior Asparagus again, and then he actually won him a bicycle bell instead of the tiger bike, and that's how it ends. So yeah, that was Sumo of the Opera, and it was actually a pretty good episode. It's actually a pretty decent episode of VeggieTales, and I'll have to give this episode a 8 out of 10. I'm not gonna give it a 9 just because it's not up there as my favorite, but it was still okay for its thing, and I think this episode could have had a little bit more into it, but it was good as the way it is. So, hope you guys enjoyed my review on Sumo of the Opera. I'll see you guys next time with Duke and the Great Pie War. God made you special, and he loves you very much. Bye.